I wonder, do you think it would be healthier? I mean, this is my cards on the table. I think it would be for these parties, so in the United States and in Britain, to be honest about the voters' concerns. That is to say, to speak candidly about demographic concerns. Because in the United States, so you said they sort of disguised this with Brexit or whatever. In the United States, it's always disguised as an economic issue. The only
Yeah,
way you can oppose immigration in the United States is if you say it's taking jobs from other people or it's lowering
yeah,
wages. And the problem with that is, although it probably does lower wages in certain sectors at certain times, in general, the economic arguments against immigration are pretty feeble. And they're
yeah,
also,
yeah,
I think, yeah. And I think like Eric Kaufman has pretty strong evidence that in fact it's really more the demographic concerns. That's what people don't like about rapid immigration. I think it would just be better for these parties to talk honestly about it. And it really irritates me. It vexes me that they don't. Do you think that would be better? Or do you think, look, it's just this, it's verboten and there's no way to do it while being politically successful?
yeah. I mean, Eric's book, his book White Shift, is very has an interesting passage on this, and I agree with him completely. I mean, often the sort of disguised reasons for immigration, are very unfair in immigrants because they sort of end up kind of inventing problems that aren't really there. I mean, on the caveat on the immigration, on the economics, the overall free movement is obviously good for the global economy. I think it's definitely bad for the native poor in these countries. The um, and it's kind of increases the stratification of society. So there, I mean, I would prepare to take an overall hit if it did make a kind of more equal society where the sort of the average person could have a decent wage. But yes, I mean, I completely agree on that. I don't see why. I can see why, but maybe it's because like the slightly spurgy part of me who just thinks, why can't people just tell the truth about things rather than like dancing around them? And we could just say, you know, okay, I'm English. Like I feel happier generally in a surrounding, in a setting around other English people. I like being around my own people. That's a perfectly like normal human reaction and I wouldn't question anyone in any other society feeling the same way. Um, Obviously within reason, like you can kind of balance that with the kind of inevitable cosmopolitan of cities, cosmopolitanism of modern cities and
Mm-hmm.
of the modern economy. But I don't. Yeah, I don't think people should have to invent reasons why they're against that. I should just say, you know, I like it. I'm happy that way. And there is loads of research on the negative psychological effects on diversity on societies, and people don't like the fact that people tend to move out of areas when their group reaches a certain critical mass. It does suggest something about that is human nature, which I wish the political debate could just be more honest about. I mean, Brexit is a classic example of that. I mean, I think if generally believe if we had, if rather than Brexit, we had said, by the way, okay, so this is the economic, this is the likely outcome for our economy and everything else. But I understand the voters like, less immigration, blah, blah, especially from these parts of the world and this type of migrants, and just be honest
Mm-hmm.
about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the outcome would be much better. I think having taboos dictates policy can have some, very perverse effects. And, you do get trying to think examples. You do get right wing politicians, blaming stuff on immigration, which is clearly nothing to do with immigrants, and often the opposite. And um, it is just because they can't just stand up and say, "I just don't want it."